Hello Nitro fans, Racing 393. In today's video you can see that they've got a picture there of a Nitro, what they call a Nitro Condor. It's not everybody's cup of tea, it's not really mine to be honest, as it stands. I don't know, as it came out in about 2000 and something, early to mid. I think you can still get it. It comes in two different guises, a kit form and a ready to run. Reported to do somewhere around the 2-speed version is anyway about 50 miles an hour, just over. So it's a 1/10 scale 4-wheel drive Nitro. As it stands, it definitely isn't my go-to RC in looks. The chassis itself looks okay. There is a video on my channel of a quick browse around, but basically we're going to restore this car. Now my long-term plan is we'll get a rally body shell put on it, and those wheels are definitely going. However, somebody did mention in a previous video about spraying the chrome wheels with, I can't remember what it was now. Was it like a smoke effect or something, or clear smoke? I don't know. Then it gives the wheel a very metallic, dull look, which might look better. I agree. I'm not sure if I'll do that. I think these are 12mm hex wheels, so anything will fit, and especially with the 1/10 range, you've got loads of choices there. So, but that's further down the line. So this video, this series of videos, we're going to be stripping this down, rebuilding it, hopefully get it running. Now, as with all Nitro, second-hand Nitro, you never quite know how serious or the condition of the engine. People, they do need looking after. So, but over the course of the years gone by, people buy Nitros, run Nitros, forget about Nitros. You know, they're not really a plug-and-play solution, and they do need some maintenance to keep running, and they don't last forever. So there is a point of no return where you think, right, it's now knackered, I've got to get another engine for it, or if you can get a sleeve or get them repinched, whatever. It's not like an electric motor, which is plug and play pretty much. So I don't know the condition of the engine in this particular car. I've got another engine that I bought. I don't even know if that one will fit. It looks the same, but we'll see. That's a little way down the line. So this is going to be my next series of a rebuild. I've got lots and lots and lots of things to do. I don't know how long this will take, but it's going to start as of now. This is going to be part 1. Hopefully you can join me on the journey of rebuilding this car. If you don't know anything about it, then it might be a good idea to watch these videos, because it will give you an idea of perhaps how they're put together. They're not a lot different to most RCs, if I'm honest with you, but it may interest some of you, hopefully. So without further ado, I'm going to crack on, and I'll see you with the car on my workbench in a sec.
So here it is, my ACME Condor Nitro 1/10 scale. It is 2-speed. I don't know but any of it works. I've got no idea. It's not too bad on the electrics, because all the electric servos can be replaced. It doesn't really matter. It's more of the Nitro side of it. It does have a compression. I have another engine here anyway. So this is the same engine that was in the car, but it's only got a single speed clutch bell. Now, from what I can gather is I've got another clutch bell just out of shot there, which should go on here as a 2-speed. I'm hoping that it will be exactly the same and fit on. I can see a difference already on the motor, so I don't know even if this will fit or if this one's any good. There's no plug in this at the moment, so again, what I'm going to have to do is check. I'll put a plug in this one and test the compression. But it is the same engine, so I'm hoping if that one's all right, you can swap and change things around. I don't know yet. But what we're going to do at the moment is start stripping this down. Everything's rusty. It looks like it's been stored outside or left. As I strip things down off it, I'll sort of show you what I've done. But the first thing I'm going to do is just remove the wheels. The tyres are okay. But I think, to be honest, I will put different wheels and tyres on this. We will turn this into a four-wheel drive, a rally car of some sorts, probably a vintage one. It looks a fairly standard wheelbase, so I can't really see any problems getting a shell from somewhere. But the shell must be a four-wheel drive replica of something, because this car's four-wheel drive. Nothing annoys me more than putting, for example, and I've got one, is the, what is that, the MF01X, is that what it is? The Tamiya Mark II Escort. I'll stick a picture up here so you know what I'm talking about. It's a great car, but since when is a Mark II Escort four-wheel drive? It isn't. It's stupid. You know, the other one they've now done a, is it a Mark I Golf or Mark II Golf in the same livery as what the box art on the Escort is. I'll put a picture up again. Great, it looks really good, but it's not four-wheel drive. I mean, I know they do make four-wheel drive Golfs, and I suppose you can make a four-wheel drive Escort, but that's beside the point. The Golf, that should be front-wheel drive. My understanding it isn't, it's four-wheel drive. And the Escort, rear-wheel drive, and it isn't, it's four-wheel drive. It's not right, is it? Anyway, get that off my chest. Let's get these bits and pieces off, and I'll come back and show you what I've done. So I've just taken the wheels off. There are just standard 12mm hexes. The back one doesn't want to come off. It's really tight on there, and I can't get anything behind it to sort of get it off. So for the time being, I'll just leave it on there. These can be replaced anyway. I'll probably replace those with aluminium ones. But like any really old RC that's been left wherever it's been left, it's always going to be tricky taking it apart. So what I tend to do is I'll put parts in like little bags. I'll try and keep them all sort of similar. So if I take the front suspension off, I'll put all the front suspension bolts in a bag. Not having an instruction manual, or as I call them, destruction manual, you don't really know. I can't, you know, you can take pictures and things, but when you start stripping things down, and this could go on for a number of weeks or months even, you'll forget where things go. So it's probably a good idea sometimes to take pictures just so that you can familiarise yourself with where the bits went. I'll probably do that anyway, just bits and pieces I'm removing. So the front hubs here, you can see they've been upgraded. They're sort of an aluminium blue anodized hub. I think they're pillow balls, aren't they, or something? And the rear ones are plastic. I'm only guessing that was an upgrade option. In fact, I sold some of these just for some random RC stuff not long ago, not realising they're for this anyway. So I could have done with them, but it doesn't matter. We live and learn. So I'm going to start bagging some bits up. I'm going to take the shocks off. We've got a bent shock tower there, so when I take the shock off, I'll try and straighten that whilst it's still on the car. It will be a little bit easier. So I'm going to bag these bits up and then take the shocks off. I'll probably show you a close-up of the shocks. I mean, the shafts look knackered, or that one does. In fact, all the shafts look rusty, so they'll need to be cleaned. But yeah, anyway, let's get those shocks off. Taking the shocks off, and they feel all right. I mean, when you push, they're not bent, and on the fronts anyway. That feels okay. So, but they'll need stripping down, but they still work as a shock, which is interesting. And I have straightened the front shock mount tower. It's super weak. I don't know what that's made of. Plasticine, I think. It doesn't take much to bend, excuse me, at all. So anyway, I've straightened it the best I could. It's a lot better. I mean, I think even dropping the car on the front shock tower, it'll bend it. So I think the back's slightly bent as well. So it's certainly not designed for bashing. And if you run a saloon body on the chassis anyway, it's going to protect. It won't sort of land on these. I suppose it could still bend if it hit the wishbones and stuff. But anyway, it's in quite poor condition. All the nuts and bolts and everything's rusty, so it's going to take a little bit of time to get this cleaned. They're only Phillips crosshead screws. No, they're not hex. I don't know whether there's an option to sort of buy a load of hex hardware for like a 1/10 buggy, if you like. There probably would be. They're only standard. Some of the hexes are like, you know, they're countersunk, what you'd expect. But anyway, that's, like I said, most of this is just sort of pie in the sky at the moment. What I'll have to do just for clean up what I've got, put it back on. But yeah, anyway, let's I'll take the back off, the back shocks. I won't show you that when I've done, so that's what I'm going to do next. And then I'll probably tackle maybe the front suspension. I'll see how that can come away from the chassis. It doesn't look complicated, but old plastics that have been sat around in God knows what for God knows how long, they deteriorate over years. So I'm hoping none of it will be too brittle. You know, like I say, I can't get that off. That's plastic, but it won't come away from the hub. So it's probably one of those things where I'm going to have to take this apart, the rear sort of pillow ball, pivot hub, whatever we're going to call those. So anyway, let me get the rest of it apart, and I'll come back once I've got the front maybe disassembled. So I've taken the rear wing off, as you can see, because I won't be needing that. I've also taken the electrics out. It is, as you'd imagine, the old style electrics, 27 megahertz. I was going to show you it here. So they are all original. So the ACME receiver and the ACME servos and the old style switch. So it really is sort of the vintage setup. I don't know if they work. I don't have a green crystal. And then what? I need an older transmitter as well, don't I? So I don't really have a means to test these. I'm trying to think. I think I probably have got an older style transmitter, but I don't know if that works either. So it's all ifs and buts, isn't it? But these, I'm going to sell these bits. I don't need the vintage stuff. So hit me up if you want these. Let me know and we can sort something out. I mean, they're untested at the moment at the time of the video. Who knows? If somebody actually wants these, I'm quite happy to send them to you. I mean, just cover the cost of postage and a little bit of the fact that you're going to get them really cheap. If I don't hear from anyone, then I'll just stick on eBay. People to buy them, won't they? So they buy most things on eBay. So yeah, that's off. It's quite a basic chassis, to be honest with you now. Now, I think next thing to do is, like I said, I'm going to take the front suspension off. Maybe I'll take the fuel tank out to get that out of the way. I won't take the engine off just yet, but if I take the fuel tank off and then I can take the front suspension off, there's not going to be much left, because this sort of this main part is very arbitrary, isn't it? It's a bit like the Traxxas Fortec. It's kind of, I mean, this has been okay to work on, but it's not like kit form. This might have been a kit. Like I said, it came in kit form and ready to run, but it's got a very ready to run feel about it. I don't know what the main difference is between the ready to run version and the kit version, if anything. So anyway, onwards and upwards. I'll take the fuel tank out, and then I'll take the front suspension off, and then I'll be back. I'm going to be showing you a bit more. In this video, it's probably going to be just dismantling and chatting about the bits I find. I found nothing actually wrong at the moment, apart from that hex won't come off. But everything else, touch wood, seems okay. Right, I'll be back with something else to show you. So I've taken the fuel tank out, got the exhaust off. It's in reasonably good condition. Now I have found a little bit of an issue. The fuel tank lid is quite weak. What am I trying to do? Very weak. There's not much pressure there. I think it might be something to do with the spring there. So I'm going to take this little clip off, this little C-clip, push that out, and then I can take this off and try to adjust the spring tension so that when I let it goes back. It is a bit weak there. It's got the O-ring there. That feels okay. There's a bit of pressure, but I would like that to snap shut a little bit. So, and then it will need to clean out, like a good clean out. So I'm going to take that C-clip off. I'm going to try and show you once I've done that's it at the moment. So it's not ideal. It sort of stays up there until you push it down. It probably still work, in fairness, because it doesn't. It's kind of goodly sealed, quite well sealed. Yeah. Anyway, let me try and do my best. I'll try and adjust it, and I'll show you what I've done. So I've taken it apart. I've done it a little clean down. It does need a bit more of a clean. However, I've took the spring out. If you can see in there, there's a tiny, like you would normally get on a Nitro, and I've just tensioned the spring up a little bit better, and at least it keeps it shut and it doesn't sort of spring up. It's not so weak. It's sort of held about there before. So it's a very rusty spring. Again, I could probably tension it more, but I don't want to snap it. So I've done it as much as I'm prepared to do it. It just needs a clean when I get around to cleaning it now. So that's okay. That's pretty good so far, I have to say. The exhaust came off nice and easy. There's not much to it. I will clean it out. It is a bit grubby. Again, I'll probably drill out the end because I know that sort of tends to work occasionally. It is plastic. Any tuned exhaust would fit, but I think first off, we'll make sure the engine, before I start spending money on the engine or doing anything like that, I just want to make sure that this or the other engine there actually works. So it's a very mucky process once you start dislodging stuff. So keeping things tidy, clean is paramount in my opinion. There's many channels around. This is a bit of an opinion now. So there's many channels around that do Nitro RC, vintage, rebuilds, running, etc. And I watch all of them. They're all really good. But I think some people don't take as much care cleaning their Nitros up or getting them running just to make a video. So I do try my best to get most of the dirt off and cleaned and put back together correctly. I take my time because these, again, like I've said, and I'll say it again, I don't go around bashing my Nitros or electric RC cars to damage them or to put extra strain on them. I might run them on a speed run, change the gear in, tune an engine or two, see if I get it to go. But I don't tend to sort of rag them around to their sort of bits and wrecked. I'd like to keep them fairly in a condition that I can get, the best condition that I can keep them in. I wouldn't say they're shelf queens, but they're certainly not every weekend runners. I run them, I then clean them, I put the applied amount of oil inside the engine, just stop it rusting, and because it can variably sit there for a while then before I use it again. And I do like to keep them in as the best condition as I can. So things like this exhaust, yes, I will take it apart, I'll clean it all out, see if there's anything I can do to make it fit better, and then, you know, put it all back together, and hopefully it will run. That's the sort of the downside on any second-hand Nitro. You never quite know how these little babies are going to be. So, right, I've done quite a bit here now. So I think my next thing, like I've said, is I'm going to, I don't know, I need to take the front off somehow. And I know that if I show you the top deck, I think, sort of screws on, and from what I can see, there's a couple of screws underneath, but there shouldn't be any reason why this top bit can't be removed. So I can get like the engine to be separated, the gears in the center, the front, and then the rear. There's no reason at all why that shouldn't actually just come off. Yeah, I'm going to try and keep that linkage sort of linked so I know how it goes back on. Right, I think what I'm going to do now is I probably will take that linkage off of there, and it comes off the carb there very easily indeed. Just take that off, and then I'm going to try and take this top bit off. Okay, so the top deck came off very easily. It was nowhere near as difficult as I was expecting. I was comparing it to the Traxxas Fortec. It definitely wasn't that bad. Very easy. I've just taken the bell crank off, or the steering sort of mechanism. That's fairly free there, to be honest. There's a loose peg. The actual pillar balls here, or these steering knuckles, there's a little bit of friction there, I suppose. They need to be cleaned up. But I think now what I can do, I can actually remove the front suspension as a complete unit, and I should be able to remove the rear suspension as a complete unit, leaving the center diff and the motor, the engine, still attached to the chassis. And once I've done that, I'll come back for a bit of a closing and how to sort of approach the next part of this series. Okay, so that's that. I've got as far as I can, or well, I can go further, but I'm going to run out of time. As far as I want to go in this part. So we've got the chassis stripped to a point. We've got this bell crank that's still on the chassis. The engine's still on there, and the center diff. The top deck is off, and the front assembly and the rear assembly. So I can work on each one of those, put it back together. They feel okay, actually. So I would say that perhaps they feel a little bit lack of oil on the front, and definitely lack of oil on the rear. I'm not sure. It feels like a geared diff, so we can put some thicker oil in there anyway. It's very good. The bell crank is a bit tight, so to get this removed is going to be a bit tricky. I need to look into that. And the chassis, I have to say, maybe could do a little bit of a straightening. I've got a surface plate. We can put that on. I'm not so sure if it should be dead flat, but we'll see. So far, it's a very enjoyable dismantle, I have to say. Everything was, you know, original. Nothing fell apart. I think the only problem I have found is the carburettor. You're not going to be able to see that because I'm trying to show you and move it. This isn't really connected to anything. I'm pretty sure it's an easy fix. Take it apart and have a look. I've got another carb anyway. So it doesn't actually move the butterfly, if you like. It's not a slide carb. It's a 0.18. It's a very basic, cheap nitro engine, if I'm honest. The bell crank in itself does feel fairly free. It's just like most things, because they're screwed in from both sides, top and bottom, they tend to lock, and the bottom one is very tight. So I'll have to perhaps spray some penetrating oil on that or something. But yeah, so that ends part one of this rebuild. I don't envisage having to spend much money on it apart from electrics. Nothing looks or seems broken. It all depends on the engine. I've got one there, and there's obviously one just over there you can see. Yeah, so it'll just be a case. The next video will include a strip down of the front diff assembly, a clean up, and then I won't film the rear unless there's anything wrong with it. I'll just take it apart, clean it up, put it back together, so it'll be back like this again. Hopefully the bell crank would have come off by then. The engine will be removed, and the center diff. So we'll have the next part two, we'll have a bit of a rebuild, still part of a strip down. And I think then what I'll do is bolt the engine back in. So I'll get it stripped down, do an engine video in part three, getting it back to where it should be, back on the chassis, with an engine that I'm happy with, that I know should hypothetically work. Yeah, anyway, let me know what you think. I mean, have you got one of these? I mean, I'll ask these questions. I'd like some feedback. They are old Nitros at the end of the day. These ones, I think, can still be purchased. They're not mainstream by any stretch. They're very typical of a four-wheel drive buggy sort of setup. No different to perhaps the Kyosho, but smaller. Yeah, so let me know what you think. If you've got one, are you going to get one? What do you think? Do you enjoy these videos of me stripping things down, talking about it? It's not everyone's cup of tea, but what do you think? Yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed that one. Appreciate you watching anyway. If I can ask you if you consider liking and subscribing to my channel as we head towards 500 subscribers. I say heading, we're getting ever so slightly closer. I think more of an issue for me is going to be the viewership over the year. It needs like 3,000 hours or something, and I'm sort of like 1,900 in a 365 period. So it's getting people to actually watch, not watch, start watching. Then what tends to happen is they go off. So a lot of people don't see the end of my videos. Yeah, there's not much I can do about that, but hopefully it will go onwards and upwards. Anyway, thanks for watching, like I said, and I'll see you very soon for part 2. Bye for now.